Welcome to Amped Up Influence, the podcast, where we share tools, resources, and strategies to help you amp up your expertise with the power of your voice so you can become an influencer in your industry. Here's your host, Shirley Hayes.
Hey there, I'm Shirley Hayes. Welcome to Amped Up Influence, the podcast. And as I promised, I'm very excited about my guest today. Actually, you're the first interview, so because I'm talking to myself. So this is great. I get to have someone to answer back.
I'm happy to be a part of it.
I'm so happy to have you here. I'm geeked to talk about Voiceform. My guest today is Philip Brook. Philip, what's your title at Voiceform?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of Voiceform. Definitely be proud to have been your first interview on Amped Up Influence. I'm really looking forward to this conversation we're going to have.
Awesome. It's great to have you here. So Voiceform, I was looking at some stuff on your website, and we've talked previous to this interview. Let's respondents answer survey questions with their voice. Now, everybody that listens to my podcast knows my thing is about amplifying your expertise with the power of your voice. So I am totally geeked, and I can't wait to hear more. Let's just jump right into it. What is this technology?
Yeah, so essentially, Voiceform is an online tool that allows you to create surveys that can be answered with voice. So we figured that it would be easier for the person filling out the survey and for the survey creator. They would actually get more information from the survey. So I'll give a little bit of background on how the idea came about, actually. So it's really a three-pronged reason as to why Voiceform started. One was I was receiving a lot of surveys at work, and I was really busy at work, and I didn't want to do these surveys. They were very long, lots of questions, and when I did do them, my answers were pretty uninsightful. So I almost felt bad when I was completing the survey, but I just didn't have time. And on the other end, the survey creator, they weren't receiving my full answer. And I was thinking, wow, I'd love if I could just speak to this, similar to how I speak to Siri every day to know what the weather is for the day. So the second reason was I was actually working as a salesperson at the time. And I was using surveys to gather interest from our platform users. So I was working at a software company, and I was using surveys to survey users to see if they were interested in learning more about our features or learning more about the different kinds of licenses we have. So I would also send lots of surveys every single week, and I realized that I would love to actually hear what our customers are saying and what our prospects, and essentially everyone that was in the network, what they were saying and what they were thinking. And then the third reason was I had a friend who is actually now our co-founder and head of growth. His name is Taylor. And he told me about how he spends hours doing customer interviews. So he's a marketing manager at a software company as well. And he would spend hours every single day scheduling Zoom calls, scheduling phone calls, and doing customer interviews. And when I presented him with the idea, he thought, wow, that would be really easy for me to just save a lot of time, send out these interviews, and just receive my responses directly into my Voiceform dashboard, I guess. So we got to talking. He's now part of the team. As I mentioned, he's our head of growth. He's an absolute master at Twitter. So maybe one day you can have him on and he could chat about that. But
I'd like to have him on. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I knew nothing about Twitter. I honestly had never even used it until we got started with Voiceform, and he's been heading up our growth efforts over there. And it's just been awesome to interact with our audiences there. But yeah, that's really how Voiceform came about. The reason that I know we got in touch was it was Taylor's idea as well, that we were, he listens to a lot of podcasts, and he always has questions for the podcast host. I know, so do I. And there's really no way to, as of right now, to my knowledge, to interact with a podcast host. Similar to how you would almost call into a radio station back in the day. But now with Voiceform, you can actually, as a podcast host, send out your voice form or voice survey, whatever you want to call it. And then you can start receiving the actual answers and the voice responses of your audience. And then you can you can share those clips, you can use them in future episodes, and we've definitely gotten a lot of interesting feedback from podcast hosts as well. So yeah, that's the story of Voiceform. Happy to dive deeper into it if you do have any questions. But yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I want to touch on a little bit with you, Philip, about the importance of surveys themselves, because I think because of what you guys are doing with Voiceform and that technology, that's just so amazing to me. It's an amazing story of how that got started. And I want to get back into certain things about Voiceform, but I want to talk a little bit with you about the importance of surveys when it comes to building business or influence or getting more sales. And let's talk a little bit about how and why that's important and the effects it can have on a business.
So I personally love surveys. The way we actually got started was I actually sent out a survey. It wasn't a voice form, it was just a standard survey to gauge interest from our target market, which we thought was our target market, which is just one of our kind of target market, I guess. So those were growth marketers. And I sent out a survey before any of this was started just to gauge interest and really see if there's a need there. And it turns out there was. But touching on the importance of surveys, I think surveys can be used for so many things, and they are used for so many things, whether it's for lead generation, whether it's for gathering feedback on a new product or on a new business, or just gathering feedback on how a certain transaction went, or how a podcast went, or even after a movie, if you got a survey, hey, what do you think of the movie? So just the way I look at business and life in general is feedback is extremely important, whether it's in a relationship or in business, at work. I know before I used to get frustrated when my boss would give me constructive feedback, but as I got a little bit older, I understood it was for the best for myself and for the business as well. And same thing in any relationships I have in my life. So I think surveys are definitely the best way to gather feedback, collect feedback, and ultimately improve your business, improve whatever you're trying to do. Just because you can think something, but you won't really know until you actually test the market and gather feedback. So I would say surveys are really important for improving just different aspects of your life, and in this case, improving business and validating hypotheses you had about certain problems.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it truly is the voice of the customer, right? I've never heard of it being done anywhere else before, and I think it's almost like you guys are the Clubhouse of surveys, because you're new, you're inventive, you're innovative. I mean, no doubt you like the rest of us, everybody is being bombarded with Clubhouse, and now Twitter Spaces, Reddit is launching their own audio platform, Facebook, Slack, so many. Big spotlight on audio. Is there any way that your Voiceform technology could be used in social audio platforms as well as traditional social platforms? But let's start with the audio platforms first.
Yeah, so I've only heard, I know Clubhouse, obviously. I wasn't aware that Facebook already launched something. Is that has already launched now?
No, they are in the process of launching. I think they're beta testing. Twitter Spaces is just about ready to go full on in public.
That's really cool. I love the open dialogue that Clubhouse has. But I think Voiceform, the way I see it kind of integrating with tools like that in different social media platforms is once again just gathering feedback, maybe after a conversation on Clubhouse, or maybe you're trying to interact with your audience once again and get feedback. So that's how I see it. Definitely open to ideas if you have any. Was there anything that came to mind when you were maybe involved in a Clubhouse conversation?
What came to mind with me is if you're, let's say for instance, you're in Clubhouse or any audio platform and you're doing your room, whatever it is that you're talking about, and kind of in the way that webinars work, at the end, you want to be able to send a survey after the Clubhouse talk or the Twitter Space talk, whatever it is, that people can engage in right then and there.
So it's like Clubhouse after the Clubhouse.
Oh, I like that.
The after party.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, something like that. That's Philip. That's a really good idea, dude. If, for instance, you were in Clubhouse and you had a Voiceform room,
Yep.
and you were talking about, everything you do, would it not be very cool to then at the end be able to have everyone jump in and do a survey and get a really good taste for how it works and at the same time you're getting feedback, right?
Of course. Yeah. It's definitely a good use case, and we'll definitely try that out for sure.
Are there any other technologies that you see Voiceform being integrated with in the future?
Definitely into the space of the Alexas in your home, and the Google Home. I see definitely a need of it, definitely a way of it integrated there. Maybe you purchase something off your Alexa and you get a quick survey after on how the process went and how the delivery went. So I definitely see a use case there. We are striving towards there in the future, just because everything is headed towards voice. If it hasn't already, it will in the next 5 to 10 years, especially shopping. Like I know personally, I use Siri. I know Siri isn't as advanced as the other ones, but I use Siri every single morning. Like she's my best friend, to find out the weather, news, anything like that. It's just easier. Voice is easier than typing. I like to call it kind of like Web 3.0 almost.
I agree with you. I'm the same way. Siri, I've actually changed her to the British dude, but I agree. Everything is going voice. This would be something that big brands as well should really be jumping on board for customer feedback.
Exactly. For example, the other day I ordered some food off Uber Eats, and the only feedback I could provide was a 1 to 5 star rating, where I really wanted to go. The delivery person was awesome. They delivered it right to my door, and they were so polite when we were chatting on the app. I just really wanted to go above and beyond and send my gratitude towards them and their company and really acknowledge them. And then vice versa. If I had a bad experience, I think it would be important for the company to really understand how the customers feel and what they're saying. And on top of just being a voice survey platform, we do offer other insights like sentiment analysis and stuff like that. But yes, definitely the big brands, the Nikes, the Doritos, the big banks, all of them. Everyone needs feedback, and we're here to help big brands, small brands, all brands really understand their customers a little bit better.
As you were speaking, I was thinking about maybe if you could do a quick use case for entrepreneurs and small business owners who are trying to build their business, build their micro influence, and eventually make more sales and so forth. Give me a quick use case for that market.
Yeah, and that is a massive market of ours. So startups, pretty much new startups, are a very big market for us, just because they're sending surveys to their existing customers to really validate customer problems, and to also gather feedback on their product. But something I would do for a brand new entrepreneur who's just starting out, who's looking to kind of gauge the market, is essentially go to voiceform.com, create a quick survey. We have a free account that you can create. It has all the features. You're just limited to 10 responses. Create a quick survey, try and find who your target market is, whoever you're selling to, and get in touch with those people. I like to use LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So you can reach out to them through LinkedIn and send them the survey and get their feedback. And from there, you'll have a better understanding of what your customers or prospects really want and what they're thinking. It would really help you validate your customers' problems, which is ultimately what business owners are trying to do. We're trying to help solve those problems. Just because I actually had someone, it was my old boss, who told me when I was leaving my job to start this business, he told me, whatever you think about your customers, you're probably wrong. And he was right on the money. He was right on the money with that one, because I thought our target market were only growth marketers using surveys for lead generation, when that really wasn't the case. There's so many more use cases, whether it's market research or gathering feedback, interacting with your audience if you're a podcast host or even a course creator, or even events or anything like that. There's so many different use cases. So I still use it today to understand our prospects and our customers. So I would say that before starting any business, I have a kind of a rule of thumb is you want to get in front of 100 people. And if 100 people say they want it, then it's probably a good reason to go forward with it.
That's a good rule of thumb. Wow. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. In terms of Voiceform in the future, can you, I don't want you to give away any trade secrets, but can you share any projects on the horizon?
Yeah, so there's some certain things I can't share, certain things I can. Something I can share is we're definitely going down the route of, rather than just being a voice survey tool, we want to be able to get deeper AI insights for when a person is speaking. So right now we have sentiment analysis, which essentially gives you a result of whether the person was positive, negative, or neutral. We want to really expand on that with their tone, how they said certain words, and really dive into the world of understanding how can I say this without giving anything away, how their voice is ultimately expressing how they're feeling without them saying it. Because personally, when I have a conversation with someone, they could be saying one thing, but based on the tone of how they're saying it, they actually mean something else. And you could pick up on that in real life, but you can't really do that with surveys right now. And we want to be able to get to that point where you can actually do that with surveys. And going, especially with this new digital age and everyone kind of moving to, honestly, work from home and all of this stuff, it's especially important because you're not in front of as many people anymore. You don't really have those. I don't know how it is in Atlanta right now, but in Toronto, we don't really have any events or anything like that. So our goal is to really get very granular and deeper into the world of insights into the person's voice. And the sentiment analysis we have now is great. It tells you whether or not they're positive and negative, but we want to really understand why does it say that? What certain things did they say? What was their tone of voice like? And really build from there. So our mission and our goal is to ultimately be the go-to trusted place for understanding customers. I'm not sure if I can't really give any more trade secrets away, but if you follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn, we're definitely releasing some really cool features that would help businesses understand their customers and podcast hosts and new entrepreneurs and anyone who really has an audience of any sort, understand their audience better.
Sounds fantastic, and I'll make sure those links are in the show notes. So if you guys want to check out Voiceform and learn more about it, there will be a link in the show notes, and you can go check it out. Mm-hmm. Philip Brook, Voiceform, dude, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, it was a pleasure. I'd love to do it again. It was definitely very fun. This is actually the first podcast I've ever been on, so this was a really cool experience.
Open door. You can come back anytime when you guys if you're launching new products or you're doing something new with Voiceform. Feel free to come on by and talk about it. I'd love to have you.
Would be happy to join.
Alrighty, that wraps up another episode of Amped Up Influence, the podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Shirley Hayes. See you next week. Ciao for now.